My son, Ari, graduates Georgetown Law School today. He graduates cum laude. Got the most remarkable letter from a professor saying that he is probably the top student she's ever had. He is all alone in his apartment. There is no celebration. There is no graduation. There is no moment to acknowledge 3 unbelievably powerful, difficult, remarkable years that he has spent as a student, dedicated in ways that I don't even understand in my own biology, because he's always been more capable and driven than anybody I've ever known. I don't know how many of you know or remember Ari, but there are endless stories about him, like the day he graduated college and got on his bicycle in Connecticut and rode back to Los Angeles. It took him 2.5 months, but just did it. He became a pilot because he wanted to fly. An EMT person who goes about helping people on the front lines. A truly profoundly deep and good soul. And today is the day where I want to put my arms around him, and Blanche wants to put her arms around him, and we just want to hug and just say how proud we are. And we've written emails, made phone calls, but there's a desire for a tactile moment that is not going to happen. And there's a desire for somehow the world, or at least us as part of the world, to celebrate an accomplishment of enormous energy and effort. And it won't happen. So let me take that focal point and universalize it a little bit. Because not everything we do in life and not everything we attain is acknowledged, recognized, or celebrated by anyone. Many of us simply live our lives. We may have certain moments with family, with people we love, which are wonderful. But in the collective sense of a human life, we tend to leave it and leave this world completely alone, by ourselves. No bands playing, nobody marching, nobody cheering. It's just us trying to reach for the last breath. And we leave. And Ari's learning this lesson today. He's actually more accomplished than many of us, of just truly acknowledging and honoring his own achievement. He knows what he's done. He knows the life he's led. He knows the adventurous being that he is. He knows the person he wanted to become and has worked hard to be. And I think he truly does honor the level of effort and demand he has put into this journey. In the end of our lives, I think we all need to be able to arrive at some defining moment where we feel good, that we did what we came here to do. Mostly life is so busy that we don't really get a chance until that moment, perhaps, to really stop and see ourselves and acknowledge ourselves and recognize our journey and in a way, prepare ourselves for the finality of that journey, which most lives are in any way that they can, ignoring as a ultimate possibility. So many people arrive at the end of the journey surprised by it, as though, where did death come from? I was not supposed to die. I mean, we all know we're supposed to, but so many people come to the end of their life in a state of shock, and certainly of no preparation. It's kind of like, why now? Or why me? One of the exquisite elements of what's happening right now in all of our lives is that the world is stopping. We don't know how long it will stop for, but it will be long enough for us to have no excuse but to look at who we are. Look at where you are now, where you've come from, how you've arrived, and do you feel satisfied? Do you feel, if the plug got pulled tomorrow, let's say the COVID virus suddenly hit you and you had 3 days to make peace? I mean, could happen. Are you ready? What's involved in being ready for this kind of global pandemic that can take anybody at any point in time, and nobody seems to be excluded? So what's your space internally to meet that? And there's no one else to judge that for you. There's no report card from your teacher. There's no diploma from the university. There's no one saying you've just grown into your PhD or you're become a lawyer, an esquire. There's nobody there. Just you and there's this great big blank. You and fill in the blank. That blank has, in a sense, the truth and the reality of your being in it. Most of us who have been meditating for a good portion of our lives have begun to acknowledge, witness, enter into, connect to the blank. And you begin to do that by sitting still and having, for a period of time, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, nothing else to do. Probably 80% of that 20 minutes, or whatever you give it, is filled with noise, thinking, thought. Why am I here? What am I doing? Oh God, I got so much to do today. Oh, how did the world come to this? Whatever your particular drama is of the moment. Somewhere in that 20 minutes, usually there is an unexpected release where you kind of go, oh, it's like when you fall asleep at night. You know, the mind is going and you're getting tired and it's getting groggy and your thinking isn't very clear, and then it gets mushy. And then suddenly there's a kind of a little vague intimation of, okay, here you go. And there you are, in whatever that is. It's really sweet. It's really embracing. It's delicious. It's comforting. And it is somehow the deepest sense of home that any human being has. We can't even really give it a name because it's almost like we're not there. But it's just, there's an entry into this nothingness that is so unbelievably receptive and comforting and welcoming to us. The great thing about a meditative life is, if you can get past that 2 minutes of being comforted, if you can take the 20 minutes and reduce the thinking down from 18 minutes to 2 minutes, and then get the rest of the time in that space, it begins to elaborate itself. It begins to expand itself into something that is very acknowledging. It basically acknowledges your being. Only it's not really acknowledging you as being, it's acknowledging itself, which is being. You just happen to be a spark or a part of that vastness. But when you go into the interior state of being, there's only as much you as you bring into that door. And my experience is not that it's not welcome, it's just a stranger in that strange land. It doesn't need to be there. There doesn't need to be a you thinking about it, acknowledging it, breaking it down, understanding it, thinking about it. It just doesn't need to have that action. It's not necessary. And if you just let go and relax and surrender, it gets really quiet. And then there you are as nothing other than what is. Just. And it has qualities, but they're not qualities for you to enjoy so much as they are the exact qualities of what is. And if we were to give them names, and when we come out of a meditation, we tend to give them names like beauty, love, joy, bliss, truth. Last week I started talking about intelligence. There's this incredible field of reality that is not something we will find so much in the world, although the world's an expression of it. We find it in the source, which is, excuse me, inside us. And we are among the lucky ones who have been told and who have listened, go inside. The kingdom of heaven is within. Enter the Buddhahood of your own being. Find it. And sometimes life becomes very loud in its announcements, like right now. It has stopped everything. There was a play when I was a kid called Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. And I often used to feel that. But now I really come to understand, stop the world, I want to go to that from which it comes. I want to go to the source. I want to go to that which gave me birth and life. And I want to not be afraid of my returning to that when the time comes, which could be any minute, as any of us knows. Rudy had a great line. It's not his line, but he said it a lot. Life turns on a dime. Well, we've all been watching that dime. It turned. And here we are in a very strange moment in the universe. Really strange. And your mind can go crazy trying to deal with it because it definitely gets your attention. But luckily, it's so boring ultimately that you can only watch so many reports on that so many people died and so much insanity in the government and all of these different things that keep coming down that you have to kind of go, whoa. I don't have to watch TV 24/7. I don't even have to watch a half hour of it if I don't want. I don't have to read the news. And then there's this strange silence that comes into your being. Like, well, without all of that, what do I do? What do I do? Well, it's a blank slate. I talked about it last week. Blank slate. How do you fill it? Each of you has to feel your way into what do I do with a blank slate. I will tell you, in my experience, in the sitting still moment of my being, the thing that it wants me to do is expressed and told to me. I am told pretty much throughout the day what to do. Sometimes it's surprising. Sometimes it says, sit down and listen to some music. Go for a walk. Clean the house. Wash the dishes. Take a nap. Sit quietly. Write a note. And then I've been given chores in the bigger world of work to do and things to do, but much of the time there's nothing there, and the voice inside just is directive. One of the great things about blank slates is learning how to fill them. How do you fill something that has nothing on it? Well, in a way, the universe is exactly that. This is the blank slate that some greater, wiser intelligence, artist, creator used to manifest its creation. Our version of that comes down to get a canvas, a piece of paper, a computer screen, a garden, a wall, fill it. Fill it. You don't even have to know with what. Start to fill it. Blanche and I have had one of those weeks where we have started hanging the pictures in our home that have been sitting in the garage for almost since August. And I have to say, every picture that gets hung on a blank wall does something. It speaks to you. It's very powerful. And where it should go in the house and why it should be there is really an act of listening to something in you that knows. It knows when you put it in the right place. It knows when you put it in the wrong place. And if you listen to it and you put it in the right place, every time you walk by it, it goes, ah. And if you do it enough, the house becomes like this series of chords, and it's like musical. You walk through your own home with these beats of joy. And then I have all these boxes of framed and not so well framed photographs and all these bookshelves. And so I just started putting pictures up of my family and my grandchildren and my cousins and my aunts and all of these different people. And they're all around the house. And I find as I walk around, there are these little notes. They're not chords, they're just little notes of greeting constantly around the house. And I'm sensing I am building a mind space that embraces and loves me. It is an exquisite way of filling time, emptiness, with something that has resonance. Those of you who are artists obviously can start to become, paint and draw and add to the canvas. Learn to do that. Learn when a stroke says yes to you and when it goes, not so good. Learn what it means to create beauty or nothing, that stuff that is ugly, and then fix it. Make it beautiful or throw it away and do another one. Poets. I would love, honestly, if every one of you, this is not a commandment, but if every one of you would take a half hour and write a poem. And I would love it if you would send it to me. Again, no requirements here, but I would just love to see what you write about whatever wants to come through you at any given moment in this blank slate universe that we suddenly have found ourselves in. This is something imposed upon you by outside now. It's like I'm asking you to do something. But imagine imposing that on yourself. And imagine that you create something that nobody will see. Will that matter? Is it like graduating college without a celebration? I'm a photographer, and I have discovered that only in the last few years. I walk outside and I am on an endless journey of not discovery because I'm not looking, but finding happens continually. Images come at me and I go, I just stop everything. I take my phone, which is a camera, and I go, and I have a beauty that then I bring home, put on a screen, and I can look at it and see if it wants to be more than it already is, how I can play with it so it finds its expression. And then when it does, I save it. Some of them go on Instagram, so I guess there are people out there who can look at them, but mostly they're just because they want it to happen. The moment in the world froze itself, registered on a piece of, I don't know what the mechanics of a camera are, but went and transferred to a computer, on a screen, and then sometimes onto paper. It's a journey. And it's really just so when I walk around and I see it, it will go, oh. Making something out of nothing has been a big part of my entire life. I built a career on it. I built a career filling pages with story that became amplified into movies that began to be seen by multi-millions and millions of people. I don't have, this may sound odd, hardly any identity with that. It's something that happened that in a way was a gift, a given, and I took emptiness and filled it. And the feeling of filling it was the joy of my life. And what I feel when I sit in quietude in this new room that Blanche and I built, really quiet with the sound system overhead, and I put on a little music, and I just sit there, and the fulfillment, the fullness that comes through of being, a being who, in a sense, followed the directions. Followed the directions. Directions for a person who you might call an artist are relatively specific. Not all of us are artists, but there are still directions. How to walk through the day, how to walk through the supermarket, how to call someone you love and let them know that they're being loved, how to offer yourself to what is wanted and needed in the world, wherever that may be. This voice inside you knows all that. It will tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and the response to paying attention is, you feel so good. You feel so absolutely wonderful. And you don't do it to feel wonderful, you do it because it is wonderful. The wonder that fills you in doing and following and paying attention to and obeying this deep inner creative urge is one of the greatest joys imaginable. And then when you come to the end of your life, you're going to have so much stuff for people to throw away, but it won't matter to you. You lived a life of putting something into the world that was beautiful or sweet or kind or not. You may be putting a lot of crap into the world and a lot of misery and causing a lot of people drama and causing yourself a lot of anxiety and living a really crappy life. A lot of people are doing that. There's a corrective for that, but most people living that kind of life don't look for the corrective. They don't want the corrective. They're kind of addicted to the drama of day-to-day craziness. And that's fine. But I will tell you, when you come to the end of that life and the welcome mat is out, you are going to be very, very unprepared to walk into this world of light. When your world is a world of addiction to darkness and dark forces and misery and unhappiness and all of that without any effort to try to turn that around, when the light comes to embrace you, you will run the other way. I've told this story many times before, but in a vision I had many years ago, I was walking up a hill and Christ was standing at the top of the hill and opening his arms so greatly with so much light pouring out and so much love that I just turned and ran down that hill as fast as I could because I knew his love would annihilate me. I am now at that point in my spiritual practice where annihilation is fine with me. Let it come. In fact, my entire practice now is embracing annihilation. Embrace it. There is nothing to be lost, and the gain is beyond understanding. The gain is totality. The loss is separation, the me, my, oh my God, what about my problems? That just gets washed away. And what's left is this, I cannot describe it, but it's the biggest wide open embrace imaginable, and you feel not so much worthy, But what remains of you really can be brought down to one syllable. It's called yes. You come down to the syllable of yes. That's all. All of your work, all of your drama, all of your achievements, all of your diplomas, all of your stuff in the world, all falls away, and all you do is go, yes. You may also go, thank you, or yep. And as I certainly described before in the meditative experience, when stuff comes up that wants to move you away from the yes, just go, nope. Don't need it. Don't need all that other subterranean thought that wants to carry you into some world you don't want to go to. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go into the drama. You don't have to go into the fear. You don't have to go into the anxiety. But if you are in that space and you are addicted to all of that kind of fearsome relationship to the world, take a piece of paper and write a poem. Take a photograph. Draw a picture. Sing a song. Make it up. Do a dance. You're all alone, most of us, or can be. No one's going to see you do a stupid dance. No one even has to read your crazy poem unless you would send it to me and I'll read it. And I won't even call it crazy. I would like to hear from you. My hardest experience right now is that I can't hug you, that the love that I feel for each of you, and I mean this, I mean it one-on-one, the love I feel for each of you is so powerful and so intense. And I get it when I teach class. I feel the oceanic version of it when I am not with you, and it doesn't necessarily pinpoint you, but you become part of the collective. But the one-on-one, I miss that. I miss hearing from you. I miss that I don't write to everybody, and God knows I don't kind of have the time. I mean, it's strange in a period like this, with nothing happening, where I have a life where so much is happening. On the other hand, I really do miss you. And I really do love you guys. I really love you. A poem would be beautiful. A note would be beautiful. David, what you sent the other day was beautiful. And the photographs were just so heartwarming. And I mean, it's really wonderful. And that means we're connected. And I'm finding it odd that most people, I mean, maybe it's just my universe, but most people are not reaching out to one another. They're all kind of embedded in their, whatever they're embedded in. This is the time to just reach out in any way and just acknowledge that you love another being. Fill the space. Let your heart rise up and tell you. You don't have to write to everybody on your list, but if somebody comes up, let them know they came up in your mind with hopefully love or concern, and you can share with them. It's a really, really beautiful thing. And I obviously should be doing the same thing, but I will tell you, you write to me, I'll write to you. And I will have whatever, a poem. But what I'm trying to get at here is, my son graduated today and nobody's applauding. So I wrote him a letter last night that I hope he'll hold on to. And more importantly, he wrote me a letter yesterday of such gratitude and thanks. And it's 2 emails crossing in the night, but they are so filling, so important, so love packaged in words in an exchange over the internet. What is that? It's real. It's real. It's dynamic. Be the engine of that in your life. Be the engine that celebrates the thing that's not being celebrated. Let people know you care, that you're there, that you are real, that you have a life for them, and that will fill you because we are all one another. Everything you put out, you'll get back. Everything. This is the time for that. And, none of us, not a single one of us, has an idea what tomorrow will bring. Not one of us. It may look like today, it may not. Things are in such that the blank slate is no longer just the tablet in front of us or the unwritten poem. The blank slate is everything ahead of us. It's an amazing place to be. The world, in our experience, has never been there before. The world has been there before, but not with us in it. So here we are witnessing part of the human journey from time immemorial. How do we deal with that? How will we be defined by that? Well, take the blank slate of it and fill it. Fill it with whatever you can. A nice note to somebody, a beautiful poem, a really crappy drawing, a lovely painting. You know, Carol Goldman is a wonderful painter, and the first painting that went up in our house was her painting. And I walk into the room with that painting, and Carol, you are so present in the house because of it. And it's just because it arrived, and there it is. And I don't know how to say what the power of that communication is in life, but it's really powerful, and you have the power. You have the power to bring joy and happiness and clarity to others and to yourself. And if you decide to do it, share some with me, a poem. I'd honestly love to see it. I want to know how you're doing. I want to know how you're doing. Anyway, I could, go on forever as you long intimated, and I know I do that. But I will bring this to conclusion. I deeply, deeply love you, am grateful for you, appreciate your showing up today. It enriches my life, and it creates a shared continuity that I think will service all of us. I look forward to being back in a month. I'm sorry it's not more often, but you can listen to the talks that are generated by this on YouTube and on the website. And you can look at the photos on Instagram or on the website. But the truth is, I'm filling the blank slate because it wants to be filled, and it is its own reward. It will be your reward if you do it. Richard wrote a lyric the other day, which is really came out of nowhere, but it was very funny, and for a song, and I just lit up, and I just went, thank you for filling the blank slate. I guess that's the talk today. Ari graduated college and got nothing for it, but he filled 3 years with unbelievable cum laude effort, and that's all it is. It's written in the genome of his existence. Trust me, your blank slates being filled will be written in the genome of your existence, and a lot of joy will follow from that. I promise you. It's the path to joy. Even bad art is fun. It's really fun. Sit there, instead of doing a puzzle you can take apart, get a piece of paper and some crayons and draw something shitty, but enjoy the process. It's great. And maybe one of them won't be shitty. Maybe one of them will really be, wow, and put it on the refrigerator and it will make you smile, okay? Or share it with a friend. Anyway, the point is made. I love you. Thank you, guys. I am beyond belief grateful, and I look forward to seeing you in 4 weeks. And hopefully, if you want to stay in touch beyond that, I'm around. Thank you all.